It's no secret that Aizen Sosuke is a bad guy. Among anime villains, he's one of the most cunning and manipulative. But just being cunning and manipulative isn't a crime. So, we're gonna go through the story of Bleach, see just how many crimes he's committed, tally them up, and see just how damning his sentence would be if he was a human. Before we start though, I want to make a couple notes. Firstly, this is based off of US law, and secondly, I'm not perfect and I've probably missed some crimes. I tried my best to be thorough, but unfortunately it's still likely I missed some, so if you do notice that I missed something, go ahead and comment what I missed, and while you're down there, be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Anyway, I also plan to make a video like this for Yuhabak, so feel free to help me out and list some of his crimes. With that said, let's get into Aizen's crimes. Our first crime is an unforgivable one: vandalism. When Aizen faked his death, he vandalized a part of the Seirete. Vandalism with less than $300 in damages is up to a year in jail and a fine of up to $2,000. This next crime is a tiny step up from vandalism, and that's mass murder. Aizen killed all of Central 46, leading to life in prison. We next see Aizen attempt second-degree murder, and this won't be the last time we do. He attempts to kill Momo shortly after Gin leads her inside the Central 46 compound. This incurs a charge of 15 years. He attempts to do the same to Toshiro, and that's another 15 years. Later, on Sokyoku Hill, Aizen attempts to kill Renji. This leads to another charge of 15 years. Aizen then maims Ichigo by cutting him nearly in half, for a charge of 20 years. It can be argued that this is also attempted second-degree murder, but retrospectively looking at Aizen's interest towards Ichigo, I don't think he intended to kill him here. We have another attempted second-degree murder when Aizen uses Kurohitsugi against Komamura, another 15 years. Next, Aizen steals the Hogyoku. The Hogyoku doesn't have a value, but knowing what it does, I'm going to place it at priceless and worth well over $1 million. So, this would be grand larceny of the highest degree, leading to a charge of 30 years and a fine of $25,000. Our next crime is solicitation of first-degree murder. This happens when Aizen commands Gin to kill Rukia. It could be argued that this is solicitation of second-degree murder, but it's pretty obvious that Aizen never meant to leave Rukia alive. He set up an execution for her, and when that failed, he was surprised that the method he used to retrieve the Hogyoku didn't kill her, and because it didn't kill her, he then ordered Gin to. It's pretty obvious her attempted murder was premeditated, and the punishment for that is 30 years. Next is kidnapping, when Aizen commands Ulquiorra to kidnap Orihime. I couldn't find anything regarding solicitation of kidnapping, so I'm going to slap him with a regular kidnapping charge of 7 years and a $25,000 fine. I'm going to jump to the start of the fake Karakura Town arc, and here Aizen admits to wanting to wipe out Karakura Town, and therefore its inhabitants. That would mean he's attempting genocide, which is punishable by death and a $1 million fine. We now go back in time, where we see Aizen experiment on the soon-to-be Vizards. That would fall under unethical experimentation, and that results in death. Next is another flashback moment, where Aizen usurps the throne of Hueco Mundo from Baragon. Usurpation falls under mutiny in the US, and that means Aizen gets another death penalty. We have another attempted second-degree murder, this time against Haribel, another 15 years. And now we've finally reached Aizen's first official on-screen kill, ironically against his own subordinate. For the second-degree murder of Tosen, Aizen gets life in prison. Another attempted second-degree murder, this time against Rose and Komamura, 15 years each. And another attempted second-degree murder, this time against Love and Lisa, another 15 years each. Aizen getting Toshiro to stab Momo was pretty difficult for me to narrow a crime down to, but ultimately I've gone with first-degree harassment, aka emotional abuse. That gives Aizen 4 years and a $10,000 fine. And again, another attempted second-degree murder, this time against Iba and Kira, another 15 years each. And yet again, another attempted second-degree murder, this time against Soifon, Shunsui, Shinji, and Toshiro. It can be argued that this isn't attempted murder because Aizen states he won't kill Toshiro, but without medical attention, Toshiro absolutely would have died, so I'm considering this attempted murder, another 15 years each. This is starting to get annoying, but we have another attempted murder, although this time it's first degree. This one is for attempting to kill Yamamoto. Aizen created Wonder Weiss with the sole intention of countering Yama, which means he's been planning to kill him for a while, and that means premeditation. That gives Aizen another life sentence. Next is stalking. I'd personally consider Aizen monitoring Ichigo's life to be stalking. Although he monitored him for around 16 years, I couldn't find anything that extends the sentence due to just the length of the stalking, so that means he gets 5 years and $5,000 in fines. Aizen destroying Kototsu was incredibly difficult for me to narrow down a crime to. Kototsu is sentient and a living being, but I wouldn't consider this murder because Kototsu isn't a human, and I wouldn't consider this animal abuse because Kototsu isn't really an animal. So I'm gonna do something that'll probably get a few people mad at me and call this property damage. The Dangai is owned by the Soul King, and Kototsu is essentially a street sweeper. So that would make Kototsu basically a living Roomba owned by the Soul King. That would make this property damage, and because Kototsu is priceless, that would result in a near maximum charge of 7 years and a fine of $25,000. Next, we see Aizen crush a man to death with only his Ryatsu, but if we look closely, we can see 3 more bodies in the background. That would result in 4 second-degree murder charges, and therefore 4 life sentences. Now that Aizen has killed people in Karakura Town, and adding on the destruction of buildings, that would make this international terrorism, giving Aizen another life sentence. Again, we see the return of Aizen attempting to kill people, and this time we have 6 attempted second-degree murders. This time it's against Keigo, Tatsuki, Mizuhiro, Chizuru, Ogawa, and Donkanonji. Again, that results in 15 years each. Our next crime could be seen as self-defense, and that's Aizen killing Gin. But I don't see this as self-defense, and I'll explain why. Self-defense revolves around the defender feeling or being in danger. If Aizen killed Gin during the initial scuffle when Gin was trying to steal the Hogyoku, that would have been self-defense. Aizen believed he was in danger, which he was, and reacted accordingly. But that isn't what happened, and after Aizen resurrected via the Hogyoku, he isn't in any danger. Realistically, Gin can't do anything to him anymore because Aizen is just too powerful. The US is typically against eye for an eye or a life for a life, so I'm just chalking this up to second-degree murder. That gives Aizen another life sentence. And now we have our last and final attempted second-degree murder, where Aizen attempts to kill Ichigo during their final battle. Again, another 15 years. This next crime I couldn't find anywhere to place chronologically, and that's conspiracy or conspiracy to commit crimes. This one's self-explanatory and results in 5 years and a $25,000 fine. And now, onto our final crime, crimes against humanity. Another self-explanatory one, this one results in life in prison. That means Aizen's final sentence would be 4 death penalties, 10 life sentences, 439 years, and a fine of $1,342,000. That's pretty bad, but it's not as bad as 20,000 years. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. This video took a ton of effort. And before I go, I'd like to comment on something that I feel like might be brought up, and that's Aizen cutting the hands off of his attendant in Muken. I don't consider this a crime, this is just an accident. Aizen didn't intend to cut his hands off, the attendant was just being careless. So, with all that said, thanks for watching, and that's all for now.